Hello and welcome to CE721, Electronic System Design and Integration. Well, what does all that mean? Well, what it means is we're going to take electronic design from some first principles, from some circuit diagrams and so on. We're going to design them in a simulator, test them, produce a PCB, have that PCB manufactured. We're going to populate the board with the components, and basically we're going to go through the entire design cycle of modern day electronics from start to finish. Now, what does this mean for you career wise at the end of this? You would be very well suited to join an SME, a small to medium enterprise company, and become involved in the design of electronic products. Now, we've got 10 weeks at this, and I'm only obliged to run 3 hours per week, but I'm actually running 6 because there was some clashes in the timetable, and this has become incredibly popular, so a lot of people attend the full 6 hours. Now, really, the second 3 hours is basically a repeat of the first 3 hours, but obviously if you're in the lab, then you're going to get some assistance in the things that you're doing and the little projects that you're working on. Now, one of the first things that we're going to build, well, the very first thing is just a couple of resistor networks and just building some PCBs around those resistor networks. But when we get a bit more advanced, we're going to be looking at an audio amplifier. Now, you're not going to build the audio amplifier, but you're going to produce a PCB mask for it that could be manufactured. We're then going to give you a printed circuit board of it, and you're going to find out the wonders of trying to hand solder surface mount components, which is really difficult, as you'll find out. But that's a bit of fun to be had in weeks 2 and weeks 3. One of the things, or one of the tools that we're using here is Multisim. Now, Multisim, I describe it as almost a good package, and there's elements of it which I like, there's elements of it which I don't like, but this is true with any electronic simulator. So what is an electronic simulator? It just means that you can design an electronic circuit and have some indication of its operation and indeed what it looks like, physically what it looks like, without actually having to resort to the expense of buying those components. Now, that's a really useful thing, because it means for your customers you can put something in front of them and say, we haven't made it yet, but this is roughly what it will look like, and they might come up with comments like, well, can you move the headers, the connectors from one side of the board to the other, because we want the wires to come in the left side rather than the right side, or that kind of stuff. Once you're happy with the circuit design, then what we do is we export into a series of Gerber files, and the company we use is PCBWay, and you just simply email the Gerber files to them. You obviously pay them some money, and within a few days, usually depends, but 2 or 3 days, you end up with a PCB in your hand that you can then solder. And that's the whole process, except obviously once you put the board together, you've got to test it. Now, we do various testing things on things like Veraboard and breadboard, and even what I call rat's nesting, where we just solder it all together, just using the legs of the components to do it. Okay, so some pretty exciting things going to happen in the next 10 weeks. How do I pass this module, if that's what you're asking? If you attend those lab sessions, you will pass with absolute flying colours. There's nothing amazingly challenging in this, you've just got to put the hours in. So it's one of the skills modules as I describe them. You can do very well, you can score very highly, but really what we want you to take away from this is some basic skills that's going to be useful to you in the workplace. Now, how is the module assessed? Well, it's 100% coursework. So what we have is we have 2 assignments, and the first assignment is to design and build a switch that turns itself on and off according to the light level. So in other words, an automated light controller circuit based on the ambient light. So for example, if it's dark, it'll turn the switch on and illuminate a light, and if it's light, it will leave the light off. Okay, so that's the first assignment. The second assignment is one of your choosing, but I have a substantive list of different types of projects that you can choose from. How are the grades apportioned? Well, I'll leave you to brevet the 721 Moodle page, because you obviously know where the 721 Moodle page is, because this is where I am now. So have a look through there. You'll find the assignment brief, you'll find the allocation of the grade marks and all the rest of it. And basically we're going to be together for 60 hours in Lab 8, so that's going to be quite a lot of contact time, and hopefully we're going to be able to do quite a lot in that time. Now, will you fully understand every electronic circuit in the world by doing CE721? No. Do I fully understand every circuit in the world? No. The reason being is some of them are very complicated, some of them you need to study for significant periods of time. Electronic designers, on the whole, don't design circuits from first principles. They look up in literature circuits that do similar things to that which they want to do, and then they cut and paste it basically into their simulator, or draw it into their simulator. Is that plagiarism? No, of course it's not. These circuits are public domain. They've taken 150 years to develop these kind of circuits, so of course you're going to reuse content which is out there. So a reference source is your best friend as far as an electronic circuit is concerned, but you do have to sanity check these circuits and make sure that they operate as you would expect, using things like signal generators, oscilloscopes, spectrum analyzers, all these kind of things. Now you're going to see virtual forms of these instruments, and you're going to play and use real instruments of this kind as well as part of this course. So there's an enormous amount going on, so please engage with it. In the past we've had near 100% attendance. I know not all of you can make the full 6 hours, but that's fine, and that's why I'm running 6 hours, just so that there's a bit of contingency in there for those of you that have a clash for 1 or 2 hours out of those 6 hours. So don't panic. If you're only attending 4 or 5 hours of those 6 hours, there's still plenty of time. Okay? Lab 8 is open during working hours, so you're encouraged to go in there outside of the CE721 scheduled timetable. And just as a closing note, I would add that 2 people from last year I gave references for and are now working at small SMEs inside the UK. So it's very, very common for people taking this course to then decide that they want to do electronic design for the rest of their lives. And it's also quite rewarding. It's quite well paid. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in the laboratory. Take care, and I shall see you soon. Bye.